Hello everybody, this is Rasco, and joining me here is...
Connor Nielsen.
And this is a new episode of Socratic Circle Cinema. And we're really angry today. Why are we angry, Connor?
We're angry today because bad movie-going experiences they just put us in a bad mood. What makes a bad movie-going experience, Rasco?
People that have no respect for the theatrical experience.
I agree. Now, as somebody who works at a movie theater, I try to go and see as many movies as I possibly can because, they're all free. Pretty awesome. But when you go to a lot of movie screenings, you tend to notice patterns, and more, I know I've been noticing bad theater etiquette. So today, me and Rasco are going to be counting down 3 of our worst movie-going experiences, at least in recent memory. We can't remember every single theater-going experience we have ever had, but we're going to talk about the ones that have stayed in our mind the longest.
And then after we do that, we'll talk a little bit about just general theater etiquette and what is okay and what is not okay. So, would you like to start, Connor?
Sure. I'm going to be... for my first story, I'm really going to be talking about 2 experiences because they were more or less the same thing. I work at a Cinemark theater, and in my Cinemark theater, we have what is called an XD theater. It is extreme digital, wall-to-wall screen, really nice seats, and it costs about $15 a ticket, but I can get in for free with one other person. And my brother and I, we went and saw a movie. It was the Divergent series, Allegiant, whatever they're called. Allergies. Yeah, there's a lot of pollen in the air in that movie, so I started sneezing. But so we're in the middle of watching that, and there's a lot of teenage girls sitting. There's a row of high school girls sitting behind my brother and I, and they wouldn't stop talking. And this is going to be a common theme of our stories: is people not stop talking. However, the correct way to phrase that is that you know what I mean. But I wasn't minding it so much because I don't like the Divergent movies. I don't really know anyone else who really likes them, and I got confused because I was legitimately forgetting if Barry Pepper was in the Divergent movies or if he was in the Maze Runner movies. So I didn't know if Barry Pepper was going to show up or not. And behind me, Theo James would show up with his shirt off, and then the girl behind me would be, oh, he's hot. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, okay, he's the hot one. Check. Cool. And then Miles Teller would show up, and he would say a funny quip, and then the girl behind me would say, oh, he's the funny one. And then, okay, he's the funny one, check. But after a while, when they're in the middle of an action scene, and girls are just, cracking jokes behind you that have nothing to do with the movie, it becomes a little frustrating. And when I went to go see 10 Cloverfield Lane, within, a week of seeing that movie, in the XD theater as well, people were on their phones, and the thing, I really like 10 Cloverfield Lane a lot. It's a movie that's right up my alley, and I think, Rasco, you really liked it too, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, when I was watching that, the way that movie starts off is, there isn't dialogue. For a good 5 to 10 minutes in that movie, the first time we actually get any dialogue is when Mary Elizabeth Winstead wakes up in, the bunker. So a lot of it is just a lot of visual storytelling, music, and people in our auditorium were laughing at the movie, it's playing creepy music, and people were, oh, I'm better than this movie. It thinks it's so scary. Well, I'm better than the movie, so they start making fun of it while people are trying to get into the mood, and it was very frustrating that I actually kicked the back of somebody's seat to make them stop talking. I'm not proud of that, but I did it because, if they turn around and have a problem with me kicking their seat, I can say, well, I have a problem with you talking. So, and that I ended up changing my seat 3 times while watching 10 Cloverfield Lane before I actually got to a place where people weren't talking. And I actually had to go way to the back. My favorite spot in an entire theater is one row up from the aisle where you can put your feet up on the railing. You have a really nice, right in the middle too, where you have a nice view of the screen, and the audio speakers, they just hit you right in the right spot. So it was very frustrating, that movie-going experience. So those 2 I kind of lump as one because, they were very similar and they were in the exact same XD theater.
Okay, so my first experience that I'm going to talk about happened while I went to go see Neighbors 2 with my friend Carter. So we walk in the theater, and it's pretty much completely empty. But it's not a very big theater. Very strangely, there's only like 5 rows of seats, maybe 6. It's really weird because it's got like these really nice, awesome chairs. So like, there's not a whole lot of them, and it's not an extremely like this specific theater room was not very large. So, if you talk in a room like that, it's like you're talking in a class. Like it's like you're talking during a test in a classroom. Like everyone's gonna hear you. So it's Neighbors 2. There's not a whole lot of people going to see Neighbors 2 at like 12 o'clock in the middle of the day. So we're sitting in the back row, me and my friend, and a group of about 6 women, age ranges from like late 30s to like early 60s maybe. They come in and they're sitting to the left of us. Now, what was so obnoxious about their seating choice was that in an almost completely empty theater, they decided to sit literally right next to me. Like the closest woman to me was in the next chair to my left. So they chose in a completely empty theater to sit right next to me in the same row. Okay, that's fine. But what's not fine is when during the movie they decide to just talk. And it's not even like they're talking about the movie. It's not like they're talking about anything relevant. They're just talking, and they're laughing, but it doesn't seem like they're laughing at the movie. They're laughing at like random scenes of dialogue where like there's no jokes happening, but they're laughing because they're laughing at what they're talking about. And it's really loud because it's a small theater and they're right next to me, and they wouldn't stop talking. At one point, one of the women who is sitting very close to me, she just stands up randomly, just stands up and doesn't go anywhere. She just stands. And I'm like, why are you standing? I'm just thinking, I didn't say it to her, but I'm thinking, like, why is this woman standing? Just randomly standing, and then she starts, like, swaying left to right. And I'm like, what? And the woman to my left, she goes, like, Ruth, why are you standing? Does your arm hurt? And I'm like, what? Her arm? Why? I don't understand. Why are you in here? Like, if you have to stand for a medical reason, like, would you do that if you were in the middle row? Would you do, like, it's... I don't know why she was standing, and I don't want to be like super judgmental and be like, oh, why are you standing? But like, you go to the movie theater, if you have to stand up every once in a while, like if you were in any other row but the back row, which you're lucky you were, like, why are you just randomly deciding to stand? Are you tired of sitting? What? So they wouldn't stop talking. They talked the entire movie, and that's that. That was my experience with Neighbors 2.
That is very odd. Especially, and this is one of those weird things where you think the older people get, the more understanding they'd be of other people's theater-going habits.
Yeah.
This isn't one of my stories, but I actually just watched The Lobster earlier today, and the movie was on for about 5 minutes, and then a group of like 60-year-olds like walked in. There was like 8 of them, and like it was a nearly empty theater, and they just sat there and they just started talking and laughing. And the movie is a very dark, dry comedy. But they just like were like talking and laughing about stuff that wasn't funny in the movie. And then my brother actually got up and said, "Hey, can you guys stop talking?" And they're like, "Whoa, whatever." And then eventually, an hour into the movie, they actually got up and left because the movie is very odd and off-putting. But yeah, I don't understand how like older audiences get away with that. But my second movie-going experience that I'm going to talk about was actually very recently. This was earlier in the week, actually. I went to go see Alice Through the Looking Glass. This is a movie I've been putting off for a while because I really don't like the first one. But I hadn't gotten around to seeing this, and I try to see everything we have. So I walk into the movie theater, and it's a medium to smaller size theater. There's about 130 seats in that theater. And I find my favorite seat, first row up from the aisle, right in the middle, where I can put my feet up on the railing. And there's 2 other people, and they're sitting right behind me, but they're not centered. The closest one is behind me, 1 over to my left, and then her boyfriend is 2 over to my left, right behind me, in the row behind me. So I'm like, okay, this is great. It's the last showing of the day. I walked in like 10 minutes into 15 minutes of preview, so I'm probably the last one that's going to be in there. This is awesome. And then an entire row of high school girls. I don't know why they always want to be in the same movie screening as I do, but an entire row of them. One of them's got a blanket. One of them's like smuggling snacks in. I'm like, oh great, it's this crowd. So they get up and they're sitting about 5 or 6 rows behind me. Okay, whatever. And then 2 more girls walk in with like a 7-year-old, and they go up and sit behind them. And then the movie actually gets started, and they're still talking. They're like still actively just like telling jokes, and one person is asking a question to a girl who's sitting 5 rows to her left. So there's like shouting at each other. And then the movie actually gets started, and as much as I don't like Alice in Wonderland 2, I will say the opening scene is actually kind of fun. She's like a captain of a pirate ship during this big lightning storm. And then like one of the lightning flashes happens, and then the second the lightning flash stops, the entire theater lit up with a big flash of light. And I'm thinking, what was that? Like, was that actually like the movie like that did that? That's actually pretty impressive. And then I turned around, and this girl is standing up with her phone out, and she took a picture of the screen, and one of her friends like, sit down, what are you doing? She's like, I gotta take a picture for Snapchat. What? Okay, look it. Snapchat's a nice tool, all right? It is. But taking pictures of a screen is illegal. Technically, that is piracy of the film. Like, if you want to get, like, not like they're taking video, but they are taking a picture, technically that's illegal. So, whatever, fine. I actually work at that theater, but I personally don't know what my boundaries are. I'm off the clock. Do I say, hey, I'm going to get you kicked out of the theater? Or I'm like, I don't want to be that employee. You know what I mean? So, I'm sitting down, I'm watching, and, they shut up. They pipe up from time to time. But then there comes a point halfway through the movie where they start time traveling, and we meet a young Cheshire cat, and it's just appearing and disappearing. And this one girl goes, cute. And then there's like a handsome Josh Hutcherson type guy in the movie that has sideburns, and they go, I want to date him. He's so like. There comes a point where you just want to say, hey, I didn't pay for your commentary. I didn't I didn't pay at all, but they don't know that. But okay, it's so frustrating. And then like when the movie's over, like during the last scene, like people are like characters are talking about important things in the movie, and they're just like asking, like they'll talk during those scenes, and then when a big action scene happens, they're like, well, why is this happening? This doesn't make any sense. So stop disrupt. Oh, then later in that same screening, the people who were sitting behind me, they put their feet up on the seat. The guy put his feet up over the seat, and then the girl to his right, which is right behind me to my left, went over, puts her legs up on the seat, which puts her shoe right next to my face. I can smell the dirt on her shoe. That is disgusting. And I was so angry. I was half tempted to just grab the person's shoe and throw it across to the wall. But then again, like, why would I do that to them? They're not even talking. Like, yeah, man, it was a very bad experience. So yeah, that's my second experience.
Okay. So my second experience actually happened in the exact same day as the Neighbors 2 experience. After Neighbors 2, we get out of that theater. We decided to go see The Nice Guys. That's why we were really at the theater. But the showing we went to, it was sold out. So we were like, oh my god! And we had to wait for the next showing. So to pass the time, we saw Neighbors 2. Okay, so we get out of Neighbors 2, horrible theater experience, and we go into The Nice Guys. And it is equally as bad. So I sit down, my friend sits down next to me. This is a slightly bigger theater. There's more rows than the last one. The room's a little bit larger. So in the row that we're in, to my friend's, directly to the right of my friend, is a woman and her husband. They look like they're in their 50s, something like that. And they have a giant bucket of popcorn. So to my left, we have 2 women, probably in their 30s, and both of them I think are drunk, because they are both drinking beer, and they're talking in such a way where they sound very drunk. They're slurring their words, and they sound intoxicated. So I'm like, it's going to happen. I know it. I know these women are not going to shut up. I know that they are going to continue to talk the entire movie. But that's not it. So before the movie starts, the woman to the right of my friend with the giant popcorn, the woman and her husband to the right of my friend with a giant popcorn bucket, look at him and they go, hey, you want this bucket of popcorn? We don't want any, and we thought we'd share with the row. And I'm like, and my friend's like, no, not really. I don't really want your popcorn. And she's like, well, that's not good enough. She's like, no, take it. And then she's like, ask them if they want it. So like what they wanted us to do was pretty much take it, turn the people to our left, and then ask them if they wanted the popcorn. And then if they didn't want it, they wanted them to go to the people to their left and ask them. So this is weird for a couple reasons. One, no one wants your popcorn that you've been like digging around in with your hands. We don't know you. Who are you? And we would have bought popcorn if we wanted it. I mean, okay. And that's a little harsh because you can interpret it as generosity. But I don't think it was that. I think it was that they had a big tub of popcorn that they didn't want anymore, but they didn't want to like deal with it, so they gave it to us and pushed the burden of popcorn onto us. So like they're like, yeah, throwing this popcorn bucket away. No, I'll just give it to these kids and then I'll let them deal with it. I looked to the woman to my left, the drunk woman, and her friend, they're both very loud, and I'm like, hey, do you want this popcorn? There's people down here that want us to ask everyone if they want any. They want us to keep passing it down. She looks at me like I'm a freak, because that is a weird thing, and she goes, ew, I don't know where their hands have been, no. And then she turns away and starts talking to her friend again. And I'm left with this giant bucket of popcorn that I don't want. That's kind of weird, because it's not mine, and someone else has been eating it. Like, I don't want this either. So essentially,
you don't know if they've been licking their fingers.
yeah, so they played it off as an act of, like, generosity. Who wants this popcorn? That's not what it was. It was, hey, you take this. I don't want to hold this bucket anymore. That's what it was. So the movie starts, and this is The Nice Guys. Probably my favorite movie of the year. I don't know. It's definitely up there. And I'm watching it, and it's awesome. But sadly, the experience is drastically hindered by the fact that these people to the left of me are speaking what the audience is supposed to be thinking, but they're speaking it out loud. So, you know, you have story structure. You know, you have the lowest point, you have the climax. You know, we set up characters in the beginning. There's setup and there's payoff. You know, like it's storytelling. It's how it works. But they feel the need to like point out they point these things out. So when like that scene, and you know every movie has like that scene where it's like everything falls apart right after it looked like it was all going to be so good, and then like things start going bad. Like there's the lowest point, the Empire Strikes Back of the film, if you will. And they're literally like saying those emotions that you're supposed to feel out loud. They're going like, "Oh, that sucks," and then everything starts going well again. "Oh, that's great," but they're saying it like that. They're not like whispering it. They're just saying it. They're going, "Oh man!" Every time we introduce a new character, like we introduced Ryan Gosling's character. "Oh, I love him." Russell Crowe. "Oh, I love him." And then the friend next to her, every time she says something, I love him. Like so they're pretty much just saying the same thing. And it's ridiculous. It is absolutely absurd because they're pretty much just saying what you're supposed to be thinking. When something's funny, "Oh, that's funny." Oh, when something is scary, "Oh, that's scary." Oh. Oh. So, that's my second horrible theater going experience, Connor.
That sounds horrible. It reminds me of my Deadpool experience, only much more awful. So, my number one worst theater going experience is not from this past year. It actually was way back in the good days of August 2014. Now, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes had been out for like about a month or so at that point. It was on its way out of the theater. And this was at the theater I now work at before I worked there. And my twin brother and his girlfriend were hanging out, and I'm like, okay, I got my little brother with me. What do I do with him? I guess I'll take him to a movie. And I'm thinking, well, what movie do I want to take him to? And I'm like, hey, we can watch all these movies. And he goes, I don't care. I don't care. And I'm like, hey, I didn't like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes nearly as much as everyone else seemed to have loved it. So I should probably watch it again. So it's in theater number 6, which is a glorified broom closet. It's a pretty small theater. So we get there early, we sit down. The theater is actually very, very full for a movie that's been out for close to 5 or 6 weeks. And it's a very small theater, so like, 20 to 30 people looks a lot, more crowded than it probably is. But my little brother and I, we get my favorite spot, first row up from the aisle, dead center of the auditorium. We sit down, put our feet up on the railing. It's going to be a good time. So then, right as the trailers are getting set to go, this kid who looks like Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle, he comes on in, and he's just like running around, got these big old eyes, and these two older, like 60s or 70s age women come in with him, and they sit to my left, at the end of the row, but to my left. But these are pretty small, these are pretty short rows, so they're maybe 2 or 3 seats over from me. And then, I'm like, okay, they're old ladies, they'll probably keep this young one in check, right? Like, that's what old ladies and grandmas do. Like, that's what my grandma did to me. I would try to do something, she'd say, hey, no, behave yourself. So I'm like, okay, they're old ladies. I'm in good hands. Then the movie started. So it isn't a spoiler to say that the first 20 or 15 to 20 minutes of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is just ape culture, right? And all of it, for the most part, as far as communications go, is with subtitles. You have to read subtitles. So I'm watching the movie, and then all of a sudden to my left, I hear, "What do you think, Caesar?" I think that Koba is getting too aggressive. And I look over, and one of the old ladies is reading out every single subtitle to this little boy. And she isn't like talking it to him, she's like audibly projecting it so the entire auditorium can hear this.
In case anybody else can't read. She wants everyone to, she's being generous.
Yeah, obviously. In case my 9-year-old little brother can't read, which he could, in case they can't read it, in case, I feel like closing my eyes but don't want to miss any lines of dialogue. So this happens, and I'm thinking this can't be happening. So I'm thinking, okay, after the first 20 minutes, like, I'm just too nice to try to tell them to shut up because they're old ladies, right? So, and now today, if it happened today, I would have said something to them. But this is me circa age 18. So I was watching it, and then eventually, the humans come in, they start speaking English, okay, that's fine. The little kid gets up and starts jumping up and down in his seat. Like, jumping. Like, he gets on his feet and starts jumping on his seat. He's short and he's white, so he can't really jump very high, but he's jumping. And I was like, am I an alien? Because nobody else seems to be noticing this. And then he starts climbing on the railing and swinging back and forth on it. And I'm in shock. Like, I can't believe what I'm watching, because every time I take my little brother or, my little brother and his friends to a movie, I always break them down. Like, don't talk. You sit there and you watch the movie. Like, I let them know what's up. So my little brother's like, is that, like, nobody told him to not talk? Like, nobody told him? Like, okay, to be fair, the little kid wasn't talking. So then the little kid gets up and he starts running back and forth in the aisle, like sprinting back and forth. And the little kid isn't even paying attention to the movie at this point. And then the old lady starts reading subtitles again to a kid who is running back and forth in the auditorium. Like, the little kid isn't even paying attention. Why are you reading I guess you just got used to reading subtitles. And then the little kid gets on the handicap chair and starts jumping off of it. Like, getting on it and then getting ready and then jumping off of it. And then he starts, like, my little brother gets so angry. He's like, I'm gonna go to the restroom now. So he gets up and goes. And then the little kid starts, like, running around, like, bopping people on the head. Like, bopping people on the head who are sitting on the lower levels. Like, I'm in hell. Like, this is, like, the weirdest thing ever. And then by the time the movie gets going, like, and then, like, there's a part where, like, the orangutan is stuck in, like, one of the trolleys.
Yeah.
And he goes, "That's the orange one." And then the grandma's like, No, I didn't see the orange one. Yeah, there is. There's an orange one in that one. No, there's no orange one inside there, honey. There's no orange one. And then eventually shows like the orangutan inside the. And he goes, "Oh, you're right. That is the orange one. Yeah, I told you I was right." Like, I can't. I was just done. And then when I got out of the movie, like nobody ever came in and did a theater check. The theater was dirty when we showed up. So afterwards, I'm like, I want my refund. Like that's the only time I've ever asked for a refund for a movie. And that was the worst theater going experience of my life.
Are you telling me that it's not okay to go around hitting people in the head in the middle of the theater?
And that's what I'm saying. I know it's crazy. I know it's a little conservative, but I know I don't like it when people go around bopping people on the heads in a movie.
So, my worst theater experience thus far in my life happened to me, I guess, 2 days ago, I think. I went to go see The Conjuring 2. If you know anything about me, I really like horror movies, but, you know, it's kind of become the schlock genre that we just throw things out in that we know people will go see regardless of quality. That's what the horror genre has become. But, you know, we have James Wan, and he's delivering us The Conjuring 2, which has gotten great reviews. Finally, a horror filmmaker with some artistic integrity. And I'm really excited for this movie. Like, I'm hyped. I like the first Conjuring enough. You know, the second one, okay. I'm really excited because of the reviews I've seen. And, oh, it's got some of my favorite... Vera Farmiga, one of my favorite actresses. So, I'm excited for this movie. I go in, and I'm sitting, I think, roughly 5 rows from the very back row. This is a really big theater. I'm 5 rows from the very, very back. I'm somewhat to the left of the row that I'm sitting in. And I have to lay out the geography of the room because the obnoxious levels were off the charts. This was a 5 on the Richter scale. So I'm looking around me and I'm like, okay, who's it gonna be? Who's gonna ruin the theater experience for me this time? And I was foolish to assume that it would only be a couple people because it was the entire theater this time. I was literally probably the only person in there who was not somewhat talking, except for actually, okay, I'm wrong. To the right of me, there were 2 women that were equally annoyed, and they were actually very vocal about their annoyances. So, to the left of me is 2 girls that are probably age 14 to 15. They're not old enough to get into the theater without a parent, so I know that the guy to their left, who looks like an older guy, is one of their dads. Or he's like an older brother or something. I don't know. He's somebody. But he's there, and he's clearly responsible for the 2 13-year-old, 14-year-old girls next to me. He's clearly responsible for them because you're bringing them into a horror movie. They couldn't have been in here without you. So, okay. These 2 girls, the entire film, they're texting, they are talking to each other the entire time, and they are squealing, they are screaming at everything. No, I'm not... In a horror movie, if you've ever seen a horror movie, you know how the scenes play out. You know, like it's this long, dramatic, suspenseful build-up, and then, oh my god, and then a boom. You know, like it's a climax. And The Conjuring 2 is not the kind of cheesy, you know, terrible horror movie that we get nowadays, where, you know, it's all about the jump scares. The Conjuring 2 builds fear through its atmosphere and through a bunch of the sound. There's a lot of great little character moments also in the movie that if you are talking, you are missing it. And for people to be screaming and crying and like not like or like a gasp or like oh my like anything like that, like these are kind of reactions you have when you're watching a horror movie. You might gasp every once in a while, you go oh my god, or like something like that. That's perfectly acceptable to do in a horror film, but what is not is to scream in your like full like if you were being murdered scream, the kind of scream you would give if someone was physically harming you. That kind of scream, okay, if something really scares you and you scream like that once, that's fine. But when you are screaming like that at everything, a door opens, oh my god, and then they scream. Oh, the remote is on a different couch seat than it was a second ago. Like everything. And the thing is, it's like you 2 are talking and you are clearly not invested in the movie. You're not paying attention. if you were screaming like that or reacting like that, and I knew that you were giving the film your full attention, that's one thing. But you are clearly not. There is no way that you find so many of these scenes so scary if you're not even paying attention to it. So that's to the direct left of me. Directly behind me is a row of, I think, I'm going to say like 15 to 16-year-old girls. I think a few of them might have been a little bit older because I don't know how they would have gotten in if they were all so young. I don't know. But I know for a fact that these are not 18-year-olds, or they're not 17. Is it 17 to get into rated R movies?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. I know that they're not 17 because I've been hearing their voices. I've seen what they look like. They're not. They're clearly like 14, 15. And they are all talking. One of them is crying, audibly crying out loud. One of them has a blanket on their head that they're wearing like they're Darth Sidious, and every time they go up to every time they want to leave the theater, they stand up and like spread the wings like a bat. And they're like Riddler at the end of Batman Return or of Batman Forever, where he's like flapping his jail outfit wings. Like it's like she's like walking down like she's Batman, and she's like obscuring everyone's view every time she stands up and spreads her wing cape out, but she doesn't seem to care. The girl directly behind me, no joke, every single 2 minutes throughout the entire film, every 2 minutes, she would burp. And I'm not talking a small burp, like a audible burp. And I'm not kidding you. Every 2 minutes, without fail, she did this. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, what do your friends think? Like, they're sitting and they're hearing you just continuously burp. Like, why are you doing that? Do you not have any sort of, like, are you even self-aware? What are you? Like, I don't understand that. She just burped the entire movie. And even further back, so this is like, you know those seats in the corner, like the back corner.
Yeah.
There is a group of kids, some of them guys, some of them girls, and they look like they're like juniors in high school. They're all there, and they're having conversations, audible conversations. They're laughing at things during like really scary, suspenseful scenes. They're telling jokes and they're laughing at things. And because of all of these people being so obnoxious, it starts to spread. It's like infecting everyone in the theater. Everyone starts to talk. And then it's like the whole theater just becomes like it's literally as loud as it is when you're in a packed theater and the movie hasn't started yet and the trailers haven't started yet. When you get to like really, like when you're on like, if you go to like the opening night of a movie that's going to be really crowded, you know how loud it is in the theater when the movie trailers haven't started yet, and like everyone's just like, everyone's talking. It was like that, but the movie was like in the middle of it was the middle of the film, and everyone is like this. Finally, the two women to my right just are like, one of them just goes, "Shut up!" and just screams, "Shut up." Everyone shuts up. But then you hear, and this annoyed me the most, you hear the two girls to my left and the high schoolers in the back corner, they start like talking back. They're like, "I paid my money. I can do whatever I want in the theater. It's a scary movie. You can't tell me I can't scream." That's one thing. But when you are, as a joke, screaming, like, okay, so one of the things that some of the high schoolers were doing is that, like, every time something scary would happen, they would scream, but it wasn't like they were really screaming. It was like they screamed really loudly as the joke, that they were like fake screaming. They were going like, "Ah!" Which is like, that's clearly a fake scream, but they were like doing these really elongated, loud, fake screams, and I'm like, oh my god. These people, they just don't know. They must just not, there's no way they've ever been to a movie before. If this is the way they're acting right now, I don't see how they've ever been to a theater, because like, if you go to the movie theater, you should know that that's not normal behavior. It's ridiculous. And that was my experience seeing The Conjuring 2. It was horrible, and the worst movie-going experience I've ever had, probably. And what makes it even more ridiculous is that all of those stories I just told you happened within the same month. So this isn't like a sporadic thing where sometimes you get these bad theaters where people are just completely disrespectful. It is so consistent. Like, I can look at movies and based on when you see a ticket for a horror movie that's like 8 o'clock or later, don't go. That theater will be filled with idiots that will not shut up. So, yeah.
I agree. And the reason I think this is happening is, and I'm not just saying this to sound like, I'm smarter than like a trend, but I think it has to do with social media and how that's affected how we communicate. And I'm not dogging on social media. It's a great tool. I use it all the time. YouTube is one of the best social media tools. Facebook's a great social media tool, etc. But it's affected how we communicate and how everyone is connected. People want to be in the now. They want to talk about things as they're happening. But the thing is, the social experience of the movie theater and the social experience of social media and how that's affected the social experience, just as an everyday person, they're clashing. They're not compatible with one another. I actually wrote an argument-based, research-based argument paper on this, and then like a couple days ago, Chris Stuckman makes a video and saying the exact same thing. People aren't going to the movies because they're not having good experiences. On top of having to pay way too much for a ticket, having to pay way too much for concessions, having to drive out there, having to dress up, having to get ready. This is why people aren't having good times at the movies. No, this is why they're not coming back to the theater. It's because of the bad times they're having.
Yeah. So, I guess, do we want to get into now what we would say is correct theater etiquette, I guess?
Yeah. Don't talk.
Yeah, that's for sure. If you're really invested in a movie and you're watching it, you're paying attention, you're being quiet, and then something crazy, a plot twist happens, and you go, "Oh my god!" Or something happens, and like something just pops in your head, and you say it quietly to yourself because you're so into the movie, you're just like, "Oh my god!" and you say your reaction out loud. That's okay every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with being like, "Oh my god," when something crazy happens,
or someone going, "No!" Like it's a reaction.
Yes, and that's the kind of stuff that happens when you're so engrossed in a movie that you're like, "Oh my god, I got so sucked in there." That's perfectly fine, but it is not okay to fake your reactions just because like you think that's what you're supposed to do. Like just going like, "Oh my god, ah, 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 tss, 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 tss. oh, this is hilarious." Like, there's no need to like make a bunch of noises when you're watching a movie. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to gasp. All of these things are okay. When the movie wants you to react that way, if you react that way, it's perfectly acceptable. But don't make a mockery of it. Don't take advantage of the fact that there are times in a movie where maybe it's okay to laugh out. Like it's okay to laugh out loud in a movie all the time. It is not okay to intentionally laugh when things are not funny, just because it's funny that you're laughing out loud when things aren't funny. Like you're doing it as a joke, or you're doing it.
Yeah, well, you're trying to say I'm better than this movie.
Yeah.
I'm better. See, I'm laughing at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I laughed my head off when I saw Legend of Hercules, but that was after the entire audience had turned on it. Like, come on. I don't really have anything more to say. Do you have anything more to say?
Don't touch people. Don't hit them in the theater. That's bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, if you're gonna check your watch on your phone, then by all means put it under your shirt because, like lights, like that light, like distracts people. Like the illumination distracts people.
Yeah. Don't. If you have to do something on your phone, okay. But like, come on, like at least try to be considerate. Like at least try to not do that. Don't. It's not a matter of like you can't, when you go to the theater you have to be super well behaved or anything. It's not a matter of that. It's that you go to the theater to watch the movie, and everyone else there is there to watch the movie as well. They paid to be in a quiet theater to watch a movie in the best movie watching experience. And like the movie theater is the best way to watch movies. The biggest screen, the best sound system, it's dark, and it's supposed to be quiet. Unless, like I said, the audience is supposed to react to something that's funny or scary or something. That's okay. Don't take advantage of the fact that it's okay to like react to a movie. Don't take advantage of the fact that you can do that. Don't scream when things aren't scary because you think it's funny. Don't laugh when things aren't funny just because you think it's funny to laugh out loud. Don't do any of that. Yeah, it's pretty much common sense. Just keep in mind, the reason people are there is to watch a movie with people who are not talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's it. Do you have anything else, Connor?
No, I got nothing.
Well, I don't think there's anything else that we have to say. So this has been another episode of Socratic Circle Cinema. Peace out, everybody, and goodbye.
See you later.